What is going on, guys? So I want to do a video here real quick because there's this video that is on YouTube that was put out by Google that has gone viral, and it's this Google time lapse, and it's exploring Earth, and it's using Google Earth supposedly to explore Earth via some time lapse technology, along with a voiceover talking about how we're ruining the planet, and then lots of other images that are just random images that don't really have anything to do with time lapse or anything like that. And I saw all these comments from all these people on the video, and I thought it was funny and a shame at the same time. Now let me just put it out there real quick first for anybody that watches this that might not be aware of my channel. I'm not some, burn all the oil and screw renewable resources and we should just light the planet on fire. I'm not like that. I think we have a responsibility as human beings to take care of the planet. I'm all for renewable resources, at least once they are financially viable for most people. I'm glad we are working towards that goal. I'm ready for the day when I can run my house off of, solar and wind and drive a hydrogen-powered car. I'm down for that. It's not financially viable. It's not economically viable for our country really right now. But I hope we do get there someday, and I hope we do in my lifetime. But I also am not a climate change Nazi. Okay, I do not believe in all the hype and the scare tactics. I do believe climate change is real. But I don't believe in the scare tactics of climate change. So I just want to go through this video from a common sense point of view and explain why this video, this viral video, is so manipulative and just straight out lying. Never mind the fact that the time lapse goes from 1984 to 2020. Google wasn't created until 1998. Google Maps, which is kind of what led to Google Earth, although they technically started developing Google Earth first, but their technology grew through Google Maps, their satellite technology first, and then they turned Google Earth into what it is today primarily. And that wasn't even created until 2006. So how they're getting time lapses on Google Earth from 1984, obviously it's not. There's a lot of CGI in here. There is some satellite imagery and things like that, but they show images over this time lapse and then give no context as to what the story is. So let's just kind of start off here. This is obviously all CGI. There's no satellite this far out from Earth that can get a picture like this in this way with the rotation, with everything. Obviously, this is straight CGI, so you're not seeing anything here. This is no satellite pictures or anything like that. Right now, if you could hear it, there would be voiceover. Now we're going to go through here. This is just a random picture, This picture doesn't mean anything. A lot of this, you're going to know this stuff doesn't mean anything. And actually, if you look down here in the bottom, and it's funny because when you pause the video, they've done it properly where there's really, really, really light lettering down here, and it's right here on this bar. And it's exactly positioned so that if you try to pause and read what that tiny, slightly see-through words say, you can't read them. So let me go back a little bit. Let's go back to right here. So we'll unpause it. It says something. It says imagery, landscape, copper, something, US, blah, 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 data. Okay, here's the next one. It says something, CGI technologies. Okay, now here's where we're going to start the time lapse. So clearly they're trying to hide where these images are coming from, at least in my opinion, which I think is funny. But let's look at some of the time lapse here. This first time lapse, nothing really changes. Like, from 84 to 2020, nothing changes, so I don't know if this is supposed to be the result of climate change. Let's see. Yeah, it changes, but like, it doesn't turn into a desert or anything. It does look like it's starting to be developed. You start to see little farms and things pop up because you see shapes that are just not natural, like sharp edges and things like that in the fields and in the grass. So it looks like it's being developed. You can make the argument that that's not good for the environment, but that's certainly not climate change. This one here, this is Massachusetts, and the landscape you will see here changes, but not in any way that is significant, or it's not like it starts to get overflowed with water. You do see these I forget what they call them, but the sea drifts or whatever, the sandbanks change, but they don't disappear. You see them changing a little bit, and that's just natural. That happens here down in South Texas, next to South Padre Island. So that's not climate change. That's just the ocean moving sand around. This is Dubai, 1984 to 2020. This is desert. You will not see the sea levels rise. All you will see is them building out Dubai. What this has to do with climate change, I don't know. It's just a time lapse of Dubai being built out. Again, you can make the argument that industrializing an area and building a city there is bad for the environment, but again, this is not climate change. Let's watch. 1984, you're just going to see this place get built up. I believe this is Dubai. It's the city where they build all the islands off there. Okay? Then there's this one. Now, this is the first one where it's extremely manipulative. So this is the Aral Sea in Kazakhstan. This used to be part of the USSR. And if you know anything about this area and anything about what was happening, this lake, which actually was, I think, the 6th largest lake in the world, started to go dry in 1960. Why? Well, because there was something called, I believe, the irrigation project that the USSR was doing back in 1960. It's when they started it, and they diverted every lake that fed, every river that fed this lake from between 1960 and I think 1980 is when they finally finished the project. So over the course of 20 years, they diverted every single source of water that fed this lake. That's why it dried up. It's not climate change. You can look it up. It was called the irrigation project. It happened in I believe it was in 1960 when they started, but it was planned before then, and it was something that happened in the USSR. That is why the Aral Sea has been drying up, not due to climate change. But they're going to just put it on the screen with no explanation and make you think that this is climate change. Let's watch. Okay? Got this right here. That's not climate change. That's because the Russians, starting in 1960, started diverting all water sources from this lake. That is exactly what happened. But they don't give you any context because they're trying to push an agenda. Then this next one here, really all you're watching is it being industrialized and farms popping up. That's what you're watching here. This is in Bolivia. Now, you can say that's bad for the environment. It's bad for the land to go in and clear land to make farms and do all this stuff and ranches and things like that. You've got a valid point there. But again, that's not climate change. That is industrialization, essentially. Okay? That is people coming into an area that was previously not habitated and creating things there. Again, you can say it's bad if you want, but it's not climate change. We got this one here. This is, I can't even pretend to say this. This is one specific peninsula in Greenland. It's one very, very specific small peninsula in Greenland that what they don't tell you is what you're going to see here between, as it starts to, you're going to see the ice disappear, but you'll notice the ice doesn't disappear down towards the bottom. It just disappears out on the peninsula. Okay, it does that every year during summer. But they've manipulated these images to where as it goes along, they're showing you from different points in time. So the first few shots that they're showing you from the first several years is taking pictures of this area in the winter, and then they start taking pictures of it in the spring, and then they start using pictures of it from the summer. So it looks like over the course of these, 35 years or whatever, that the ice is disappearing. It does that every year. It's just manipulation. They're manipulating you. That's what they're doing. They're manipulating you. This is just a random mesa for no reason, probably in Arizona or something. We've got another random picture. And again, see the thing at the bottom? When I push this button, the bar covers it up, so I can't see why we're even looking at this photo or where this photo came from. And it just goes on and on and on like that. A lot of manipulative photography with a voiceover. And again, right here, what you're seeing is land being developed. And this is all CGI, by the way. This is not real. Okay? This is not real. And they are pushing an agenda and trying to make you believe that something is going on that's not. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to manipulate you. That is all this is. So this viral video from Google is nothing but propaganda and manipulation, period. Hands down, end of story.